This Todd-versation is brought to you in part by Calavo Growers, the family of fresh.
Hey there, everybody. How you doing? Happy September. We're glad you're here hanging out with us once again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hope the gym's working out. I hope your boss isn't over your shoulder looking at you if you're doing this at your desk. We appreciate you. I got a good group of folks here joining us today. I'm excited about this one. This is a really interesting conversation that I've been looking forward to having. What these folks are doing in the Southeast. And no, we're not going to talk about SEC football because I just can't do it. I won't do it. We're not going to go there today. We might, but it's only going to be negative for me, just so you guys know. I think this is going to be an exciting conversation about what's going on. This is going to be new to a lot of people. People haven't heard of this yet. I think it's going to be exciting that you have. So please welcome from Cold Hardy Citrus Associates, Sweet Valley Citrus, the whole 9 yards, the Southeast, the SEC, whatever y'all want to talk about. Please, welcome Matt Cruce and Kyli Lamar. Welcome to the show, folks. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, Todd.
Thanks so much, Todd. We're excited to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that now, and hopefully you'll say it at the end. That's really what the key is. It's really about what you say at the end, not at the beginning. I found that out in this broadcast world. I think that what you guys have going on is super, super cool, and I'm excited to get into it. But before we do that, if you wouldn't mind, and I'm going to let you guys just, arm wrestle, fist fight, whatever you want to do, who goes first, who goes second with some of these questions. But just if you wouldn't mind, just briefly introduce who you are and kind of tell your journey and bio and how I roped you into hanging out with me bright and early on a Monday morning.
Yeah, I'll go first. And first of all, I want to say go dogs.
Oh God, here it comes. I knew it was coming.
I'm Kyli. I have a little bit of a non-linear career journey to citrus and agriculture. I grew up on a family farm, but had an entire previous career in education and nonprofit leadership. Most recently was managing director of operations for Teach for America. But in 2008, I moved back to Georgia, and my dad had started a citrus tree nursery. Citrus trees was becoming really big in Georgia and North Florida. And so now I have the opportunity to manage the family farm and family business with both my dad and my two younger brothers. We have a citrus tree nursery and grove development and management company, One Dog Ventures, which is in Sale City, Georgia. And this year we're actually opening up a second nursery, Florida Line Nursery in Monticello, Florida. And have had the opportunity over the past year through the Cold Hardy Citrus Association as a board member to develop and launch Sweet Valley Citrus.
Nice. Okay, wait a minute. One dog. I got to ask. Really? One dog? Seriously? You going bulldogs with that? Is that really it? Don't lie.
It actually stands, my dad is dyslexic, and it actually stands for God first backwards. So it doesn't
okay, that's cool. All right. All right. I'm digging that. I love that.
To do with the Georgia Bulldogs, but we're still dog fans.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you threw the dog thing out there in the beginning. I had to come back around and ask. I mean, but I love what it actually means. That's really cool. That's really cool. Matt, how about you?
My name's Matt Cruce. Like you said, I graduated from college in 2010 from the University of Florida.
Oh, good God. I'm surrounded by you people.
Yeah. So after the day after I graduated, I came back and went to work in the family timber and logging business. And that was in 2010. Since that time, I've gotten married. I now have 3 kids.
Congratulations.
Started a citrus grove that we now have 85 acres and about 8 or 9 different varieties. And we're building a packing house, and seems like a journey that we're on.
So you have 3 kids and go, hey, I'm gonna get something a little bit more creative. Let's go get into farming.
Yeah,
Your kids didn't teach you to keep you out of farming?
Yeah, whenever we
busy enough,
thought that the farming was going to be 1 or 2 days a week, and we were very wrong about that. It's turned into a full-time job.
Yeah, well, you are 100% wrong about that, brother. There's no 2 ways about that. I love it. So I want to get into this because what you guys are doing is not necessarily new, but it is new in a lot of ways, and it is really pretty cool with what you all have going on. And I want to get into this about this whole citrus thing that you guys are doing in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. So before we get rolling, and again, you guys pick who wants to go first. Tell me a little bit, what is the Cold Hardy Citrus Association?
Yeah. So People started planting cold hardy citrus, as we call it, a few years ago, and in 2017 formed a nonprofit association. I was founded by growers for growers, specifically aimed at providing a unified voice for folks who are getting into this new industry in this area, and providing education on different growing practices. But I think the biggest thing that the association has done, we now have about 150 members, and we are launching Sweet Valley Citrus brand as a regional brand specifically for all of our cold hardy association members.
I love it. It's super cool. So cold hardy, so satsumas, lemons. I mean, I assume it's the whole variety, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of satsumas. At first, it was almost exclusively satsumas that were planted. It's really begun to diversify, though. A lot of other different mandarins, tangos, shiranui, seedless kishu, even some navels, red navels, cool. Lemons, all different kinds. I
love it. So I want to talk a little bit about this Sweet Valley citrus region that has developed itself right over time, and it's progressing into really a standalone industry now, for I guess lack of a better words. But it's almost like a wine appellation in some ways. I mean, you think about Napa, or you think about Tuscany, the Rhone Valley, some of these places, that have these little microcosms of amazingness that can grow just really, really cool stuff because of the zip codes that they're in. And you guys are exactly like that, correct? I mean, it really is this cool little hub in this planet that we have that's doing some amazing stuff.
Yeah, we think so. It was a journey to come up with the Sweet Valley name, though. I think back in 2020, we started working with Moxie Marketing because we wanted to create a brand to market fruit for all of our growers. And so we were doing some consumer insight studies, all of that kind of stuff. And we at first were seriously considering a unified brand that represented one variety. So like halos, cuties, we're all familiar with those. And we were thinking about that specifically because so many Satsuma mandarins had been planted in the region. But we kind of paused on that. We knew that although a unified brand of a single variety would really serve us in the short term, we didn't think it was going to serve us in the long term, and we intend to be around for a long time. And so we started throwing around the idea of forming a regional brand because we wanted it to represent all growers in the industry, even if they weren't growing Satsumas. And we also wanted to be something that could support growers who had already created their own brands and were marketing under their own brands. So at that point, we're trying to figure out what the name was going to be. We went back to some of those consumer insight studies, and the thing that we heard from folks over and over again was how sweet our fruit was, and so that was kind of the beginning of the Sweet Valley name. Although there is not a place that is called Sweet Valley, the name is meant to represent the quality and the sweetness of the fruit that we're able to grow in this area. So, we hope one day, just how, if you drink a glass of wine and it's from Napa Valley, that you'll be able to eat a piece of citrus fruit and know it's from Sweet Valley.
I love that. I think that's fantastic. I think it's great. And shout out, you threw out Moxie. We got to give a shout out to Karen and the team at Moxie because those guys knock it out of the park. They're a great group to work with. No two ways about it. Well, tell me a little bit. So easy, everybody's into easy peel now. Easy peel this, easy peel that, right? It's all about convenience, about, and I really think it's kid driven in a lot of ways, right? So it's something you can throw in the lunchbox, and it makes it easy for somebody to make it a part of their daily activity. So you guys are specializing primarily in Satsumas, right? That's the big horse right now. And it's all the easy peel. So it's super convenient for people to work with, correct?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say 80 to 90% of what's planted and what's being harvested right now are Satsumas. In the future, that percentage will bump up to other types of varieties.
Sure.
So yeah, it's just going to take a little bit of time. Citrus tree, a piece of citrus fruit isn't very good to eat when it's coming off of a 2-year-old tree. So from the time you plant one, you have 4, 5, 6 years until the piece of fruit gets really good.
Correct. Yeah. It takes time for the tree to mature. So tell me a little bit, let's get into what does cold hardy citrus, what does cold hardy mean to citrus really? What is it all about? Because I think I think people are going to be fascinated about it and how it relates to geography.
Thanks for joining the Todd-versation. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, this is Nelia Alamo at Calavo. Thanks for listening to Todd-versations. At Calavo, we are the family of fresh. For almost 100 years, our passion has been bringing delicious and nutritious food to your table. From tasty, wholesome produce to our freshly prepared foods, Calavo is a global leader in the finest quality produce and a pioneer of healthy, fresh-cut fruits, vegetables, and prepared foods. Whether it's our farm-fresh avocados, tomatoes, Hawaiian papayas, or chef-inspired solutions including fresh-cut fruits, veggies, guacamole, and much more, Calavo takes pride in delivering our fabulously fresh products every day. It's our promise from our foodie family to yours. Check us out at calavo.com and learn why we are excited about your fresh possibilities ahead.
Yeah, one of the big things I would say that relates to cold hardy citrus is dormancy inside the tree. We have a fall and a winter, so it starts to get to be September, October. Our temperatures start to cool down. The tree start to go dormant, and it makes the tree much harder to kill from cold weather versus South Florida or some tropical climate where the tree just grows all the time. We're able to have a dormant tree, and that helps us with cold weather.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all right. Well, that's a big deal. So geography wise, it's relatively limited, at least at this point. So it's North Florida into Georgia into Alabama, correct? Just those 3 states.
Correct.
Yeah. So it is kind of like, lack of a better word, a little bit of a Death Valley, a little valley right there. That's an LSU thing, right? Did I get it right? Death Valley? Yeah, that's LSU. Yeah. Sorry. Didn't mean to piss off the Georgia and the Gators. Sorry about that. I apologize. I won't bring up LSU again. I think, we won't talk about LSU football. Though Georgia's national champ, I got to give you props. I know. I already apologized. I already said it. I knew it was coming. I got ahead of myself on it. And I got it. So tell me a little bit though. I'm interested in some of the characteristics around the fruit, right? Versus like other stuff grown in other regions. Because you make a really, really good point about the tree dormancy, right? Where a tree's growing in hot climates, whatever the case may be, that is different. That probably makes for a lot of different characteristics that probably are, I would imagine from the cold hardy perspective, are probably way to your advantage. So can you talk a little bit about some of those characteristics between the two?
Yeah, I would say on the Satsumas, like we mentioned earlier, they're extremely easy peel. They have a sweet flavor with mild acid that doesn't really taste like a tangerine. It's probably it's more appealing to a larger group of consumers, especially kids. It's one of the first that we believe that was cold hardy. When we first started, we weren't sure that if other types of trees could live in North Florida and South Georgia.
Right.
But there's been Satsuma trees planted in people's yards up here for the last 20 to 30 years. So we knew those would grow, but everybody started experiments with different types of trees. And since that point, pretty much every variety we've planted has turned into be cold hardy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Now, when you think about cold hardy and trying to put this perspective a little bit and based upon your region, so they could take a pretty, you can get some pretty nasty weather. I mean, you get kind of cold, you guys can, there's been some crazy weather that's passed through that area. So those trees are hardy enough to withstand pretty much almost anything at that point, I'm imagining.
We definitely get some weather that is down into the 20s. I think, 2 things that also contribute to us being able to grow fruit, to grow citrus fruit here. People are also, when they're choosing their citrus trees, are oftentimes planting on cold hardy rootstock, so like a trifoliate rootstock that grows a little bit more slowly, but can withstand lower temperatures. That's more my side of the business from the citrus nursery.
Sure.
But most of the time, folks are planting on rootstocks here that are different than like the rootstocks that are planted on in South Florida. So I think that's part of it. Also, people use maxi jet irrigation. So when the temperature drops, people turn the irrigation on, and basically are continually spraying water onto the bud union of the tree to
Right.
keep alive. And obviously, water releases heat, and so that's another thing that we do here to be able to grow cold hardy fruit.
I love it. Well, based on, being so much farther north, and I want to get into this because this is a big topic, and I know it's something that you all are dealing with, and I think the whole state's dealing with in a lot of places on this planet. But, citrus greening is definitely a topic of concern and conversation. So if you wouldn't mind, and I'd throw it out, Matt, you can have whoever wants it. But, first I'd like to know, kind of give everybody a little bit of a 411 on what citrus greening is. And really it's drastic effect that it's had, on the citrus industry.
Yeah. Citrus greening is a virus that's pretty much a vascular disease inside the citrus tree that would be like heart disease for a human. It's spread by the Asian citrus psyllid, which is a small bug that lays its eggs on new flush. And, one of the advantages that we believe we have is the scientists and the researchers tell us that anything below 24 degrees kills the majority of the psyllid. And most years we're going to have temperatures that get pretty close to that threshold. But the other thing that helps us out a lot is the dormancy of the tree. We don't have any new growth for 4 to 5 months. And that's what the psyllid lays its eggs on. And the psyllid life cycle is only about 2 months long. So if we can have, 4 to 5 months of dormancy, and, for a bug that only lives for 2 months that can get killed by cold weather. Yeah. Like our chances right now with it.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So what about like your soil? So, I mean, are you seeing any difference because of, the soil area, similar, like we talked about Napa and Tuscany and stuff, how these soils make such a difference to the plant? Is that having any effect positively or negatively towards citrus greening?
Advantages we have over a lot of places in South Florida is we have more clay-based soils that hold more heat. So whenever a cold front comes through, if the sun's been shining and it's been warm, that heavy soil holds heat a lot better than what a sandy soil would do. So that would be one of the large advantages that we have for making the trees cold hardy also.
Yeah. And I think just also like our soil is more nutrient dense than what you find in like the sandy soils in Florida.
Yeah, well, that would make sense. Sure, you're not leaching everything out super quick. Well, what about like steps to minimize it? Like, and I know a lot of the problems that I hear from people in Florida, South Florida per se, is that, there's groves that just, you go to grove and then you go across the street, you're in another grove, and you go across the street and they're so connected and together. And because you all are spread out over 3 states, is that helping to mitigate or to minimize any of these issues as well, just geographically? I mean, as far as being so far spread out in some ways?
Yeah, I think definitely. I've heard a grower from South Florida say, like, you can either live with the virus or you can live with the psyllid, but you can't live with both. And that means, the psyllid is what transmits the virus. So people have found psyllids, I know, in Georgia and in Florida, but currently, there haven't been large amounts of infected trees found in this area. So basically, the psyllid hasn't been able to transmit that. And so because, we have groves we don't have groves that are right next to each other right now. We have a lot of smaller groves that are very spread out across our region. I think that's definitely helping us. The cold hardy or the Sweet Valley region is actually probably the size of the entire state of Illinois if you laid that state over the top of the region. So it's a very large region of small growers. I think our growers have also tried to learn from our South Florida neighbors with stuff about what root stocks are best to plant on, because growers in South Florida have found, if I'm planting on this rootstock, even if I get greening, I can still have some production in the tree, versus if I'm planted on another rootstock, my tree is totally decimated. In addition, planting groves at higher densities where, even if you do get greening, you would have made enough money off that grove to have made it worth it. And so our climate, our region where we're located is helping us, but I think our growers are also, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to learn from folks who've gone ahead of us.
Yeah, the other thing I helps
go
us,
ahead.
us being a collection of small farmers is if you have a 20-acre grove, it's a lot easier to ride and check that 20-acre grove for problems than it is if somebody owned 2,000. And you can be in almost go down every road,
check every tree
one day a week and scout for problems.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I'm imagining that given the severity of the problem, that geographically for you guys, it's got to be giving you not only some, confidence back to your retailers and your customers, but to consumers, but it's also got to be giving confidence back to your growers as you're expanding the Sweet Valley Citrus brand, as you're building this business up. Can you touch a little bit on that? Because I know, Matt, you and I were talking before we kind of got on, and you were talking about, hey, you're looking at doing more, adding more, growing your business and stuff. There's got to be a level of confidence that you're giving to growers and consumers right now that's got to make you feel good.
Yeah, I would say for sure. I mean, the qualities from our fruit versus grocery store fruit that's grown in different parts of the country, you hear time and time again that people from around town that, they ask you 12 months out of the year when your fruit's going to be ripe because they're ready to buy some. And they were able to buy that type of quality at the grocery store. They probably wouldn't be asking us all the time if it was ready or not.
Right.
So that does give us, if you can satisfy some of your customers in the small town that you live in, it's a lot of times easier to satisfy people that live further away from you. For
sure. Yeah, well, your neighbors are going to be your harshest critics, right? I think it's your point's well taken. I think it's just really cool. I mean, I think that, it's such a unique time and such a great opportunity for y'all with what you're doing. I mean, and look, we need it, right? I mean, we need to pump up the citrus industry. We need to keep it rolling. It's such a valuable piece of, of nutrition and, needs to be such in the forefront of American diets. There's no two ways about it. I want to come back to something that you guys have touched on a little bit, and that's talking about, I think, the reality and what people don't necessarily understand, the size and scale of the American farmer today. People always get this thing that, they're bazillion acres, right? That's not the case. American farmers, the average dairy farmer is what, 30 something head of cattle, for whatever the number is, not very big, right? And it is truly American, truly the family farm. So you're working with close to 150 growers, you said. What do you think the average size, is of the growers that you guys are working with?
Yeah, so the average size of our grower is around 30 acres.
Wow.
And it does vary greatly from it varies from 5 acres to 200 acres though. And that is small, especially when you look at other like citrus growers not in this region who are in the hundreds and the thousands. And so we're really excited to be, as an organization developing and launching this brand for the small grower, because obviously, we can amplify those voices and create something and do something that the grower who is growing 5 acres would never be able to.
Yeah, I love you look online, you look at it, you only need to have 30 trees to be a part of to be a part of what you all are doing. And that's, I think it's just so neat to see that you're bringing along next generation, perhaps similar to what you've kind of gone through, Matt, becoming, what's going to happen, how we're going to uplift and how we're going to continue to drive, being, food secure as opposed to food insecure. I guess my next question along the lines I'm going to throw out to both of you is, share with me why family farms, matter so much, not only to you all, but why they really need to start mattering more in conversations here in the United States.
Yeah, I think that's a really big question.
Yeah.
And I think, I can share why it matters to me personally, but also why I think it should matter to everybody. Personally, I grew up on a farm, and I think it taught me about everything I know. It made me the person I am today. Really taught me the value of hard work. And, family farms, people who work on farms, who grow plants, trees, who raise animals, they know about hard work and sacrifice. Plants and animals don't take a day off. the cows get out on Sunday. Your Satsuma mandarins are ready to pick when they're ready to pick, no matter already had plans. And so I think, people who work on farms are some of the best people I know. From the perspective of the citrus nursery, I've really been able to see kind of the impact of the family farm from the beginning. Like I've seen the granddad that has 10 acres come to us and want to plant a citrus grove to leave a legacy for his family, and teach his grandkids, what it means to take care of something and what it means to grow something. And they've sent pictures of, their 7-year-old grandson and 9-year-old granddaughter, in the field on a Saturday planting the citrus trees. And I think there's something really, really wonderful about that. And more broadly, I think knowing where your food is coming from is getting, more important, more and more important to people. But I think, unfortunately, as a nation, we're getting farther and farther away from that. And so with Sweet Valley, that your fruit is not coming from this big corporation, right? It's coming from a family farm. And you as a consumer can trust that family is making a decision about how they grow their fruit in a way that, they'd be okay with their kids eating that fruit.
Yeah.
And so I really think that it builds a lot of trust. And, I think there's something really incredible about family farms. I think it's part of the fabric of our nation. And I think, if we move away from that completely, I think we'll have lost something really priceless.
And I think the other thing that, about family farms is everybody who's a farmer takes pride in what they grow.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're willing to, have a farm and have your own brand name and put your last name on that brand name, that you're only going to ship, good things to the consumer. And I don't know very many corporate farmers, but some of the things you buy in the grocery store, there's not quite the amount of pride that's taken and growing and packing and shipping for some of those brands.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Look, this business has become very transactional. It's been very plug and play. It's about getting it from point A to point B, not necessarily eating it at the end. And I think that we've lost that. To your point, Kyli, I 100% agree that we've kind of in some ways have lost our food way when it comes to recognizing, and I touched on it earlier about being food secure, right, versus insecure. Where is our food coming from? That's a really big thing that we don't talk enough about. So it's exciting for me to see an industry like yours and what you're building and why you're building it. And the fact that you're so, you're including anybody, 30 tree minimum, right? You got 30 acres average. I mean, that's amazing. That truly is what built this country. And what made us, I think, so great is being able to produce food like that we do. So I'm imagining, and I want to kind of get into this from the grower perspective, though. I'm imagining that the growers have really embraced coming together and what you've created, and it's a very uplifting. What you guys are doing is incredibly uplifting, right? It's a heavy lift, but I think that the thought about creating a more robust citrus industry, for Florida especially, Georgia and Alabama as well, has got to be pretty cool, I would imagine. So how are the growers, what are they saying about, where you're at, this rollout? Can you kind of give some perspective from your members on how they're feeling about what's going on today?
I would say all of them are excited about it. I mean, as the volume grows, the sales are going to also grow too. So, we needed a unified effort with the help of the marketing side.
Right.
So I'd say they're all excited about it, but we're still in the infancy stages in all this. And over the next 5 to 6 years, the volume's going to, really take off. And, some of the growers who may not see any value in it will see lots of value in it over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I love that. Great answer. Great answer. So let's talk a little bit about, taking it from the grower perspective, let's talk about the retailers and the consumers, right? How are they embracing it? rumor mill has it that it's damn near fist fighting out there when the citrus rolls out. I mean, that's what I'm hearing, that there's a little bit of a fight out there. It's a little bit of demand out there for the Sweet Valley Satsumas when they get rolled. So can you talk a little bit about how the retail community and as well as consumers, if you want to go down that, to that level, but really how the retailers are embracing what you all are doing?
Yeah, I'll talk about consumers first because, when we were launching this or even designing the brand way before the launch, we got some consumer feedback. And I think, again and again, we heard how sweet the fruit was. People, some of our packers like to describe a Satsuma as its flavor being zing and then wow, of like when you first take a bite, it's zing, it's that tartness followed then by wow. This piece of fruit is really sweet and flavorful. And I think that's really important because in the mandarin and tangerine market, we've all been to the grocery store and you'll get a bag of mandarins and they'll be the best things you've ever eaten. And then you'll grab a bag a week later and you're like, these have no flavor. And so I think that has been something that has been really great feedback from consumers, like Matt talked about earlier, of just like you're getting a really tasty piece of fruit every time. And last year we sent out a lot of samples to retailers. They told us that they were looking for a consistent, high quality piece of fruit. And based on their feedback, that's what they received from us. And so, I think that's really good. You would ask, like, when should people get involved with this? It's now. We're going to sell out. We're pre-selling now. We will have limited availability. If we don't sell out before the season, we'll sell out at the very beginning of the season. But I think another factor, Todd, that we haven't talked about that is really playing into the I guess frenzy, as you said, over the fruit is just some logistics. It's our location, right?
Yeah.
In North Florida, South Georgia, and South Alabama. And, if you've ordered anything recently, the price of shipping is skyrocketing. And so people were really excited about a piece of high quality fruit that they can get and not pay for it to be shipped across the country.
Yeah. Well, that's a big, look, and logistics aren't, they aren't getting any easier.
Right.
So you've created an option. And quite frankly, if you take a look geographically where you are, you've got the whole Eastern Seaboard, you got a big chunk of people that you can get to. But I love the fact that you talked about that it's, this fast and furious, the season. So the season starts basically in September and it runs until.
So really the season is probably like early October to January for all of our different mandarin varieties. Satsuma season is November really to December with a little bit of spillover into the beginning of January. So it really is we say limited availability, that we have limited availability on quantity of fruit, but also just when people are going to be able to get it.
No doubt. And I want to make sure that we touched on it though. And I know we talked a little bit about the consumer side, but on the retail side of it too, I'm imagining that once these retailers have got a sample of this, they're like, holy crap. Yeah, I'm all in. Are you seeing that now? Are you seeing these retailers like, hey, oh, by the way, here's my POs for the next nine weeks.
Yeah. People are really excited about that. I think, and I think we will have to do, some consumer education, or we will, and also, retailers will. We didn't touch on this earlier, but one of the things that really makes Satsuma mandarins different is, the taste of the fruit, but also we pick Satsumas when they're tree ripe. They're actually clipped by hand. And most of the mandarins or tangerines you get in the grocery store are actually gassed so that they have that bright orange color. And it's actually not possible to gas Satsumas. They don't respond to it. And so, I think you can be assured that you're getting the freshest piece of fruit possible that was picked by hand. But sometimes that means there might be a little bit of green at the top of the fruit, but that doesn't affect the quality or the taste of the fruit at all. But I think, people are really responding to that idea of like, high quality sweet fruit that is tree ripe, from grove to table almost.
Unbelievable. Yeah, people need to lighten up a little bit about the appearance of fruits and vegetables. It's a little harsh. We're too hard on ourselves when it comes to stuff. A little bit of green, a little ding, this and that. Is it really going to be an issue? No. Right. It's something we need to embrace. And to your point, consumers need to recognize, and nobody wants to ship a leaky box of anything, right? I get all that. But at the same point, there's this responsibility that we all need to take together to uplift these growers through the retail channel to the consumer. And it's such a valuable conversation we all need to be embracing.
Thanks for joining the Todd-versation. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hi, this is Nelia Alamo at Calavo. Thanks for listening to Todd-versations. At Calavo, we are the family of fresh. For almost 100 years, our passion has been bringing delicious and nutritious food to your table. From tasty, wholesome produce to our freshly prepared foods, Calavo is a global leader in the finest quality produce and a pioneer of healthy, fresh-cut fruits, vegetables, and prepared foods. Whether it's our farm-fresh avocados, tomatoes, Hawaiian papayas, or chef-inspired solutions including fresh-cut fruits, veggies, guacamole, and much more, Calavo takes pride in delivering our fabulously fresh products every day. It's our promise from our foodie family to yours. Check us out at calavo.com and learn why we are excited about your fresh possibilities ahead.
And I think recognizing that most of the time when you're seeing a perfect piece of fruit, something has been done to it to make it look like that.
Yeah.
It's picked from the tree like that.
Well, art, it tastes like shit either way. I mean, there's a lot of that too, right? It's like, oh, that's an absolutely beautiful tomato that literally tastes like nothing.
Yep.
Right. I mean, and I think that's unfortunate because I don't think we do anything to help drive consumption that way. I think flavor is such an important part. And, you go back to my tenure 1,000 years ago when the Flintstones were farming, you go in and strawberries had a different flavor. Tomatoes had a different flavor. Yeah. Maybe they weren't going to get, cross country as well as what you can today, but boy, you sure had a different consumer experience. That's for sure. So kudos to what you guys are doing because we need more folks like you recognizing and finding the value, not only in good food that people want to eat, which are satsumas, no doubt, but you've got this geographical location that you've embraced and you're leaning into, you're putting research dollars in, you're looking at it, people are working together, you're embracing the American farmer, at whatever scale, especially at, I love the 30 trees to get into the deal. It's just fantastic to me. So, I mean, it really does speak volumes about what you all are about and why I believe that you guys are going to be on a very, very positive trajectory with this brand moving forward. And I can see this, I love when brands, when demand exceeds supply. That's a lovely day to be a shipper, right? There's no two ways about it. But I think yours is for such unique reasons and has such potential to be such a powerhouse. As everybody steps up, we get stories out like we're telling today. People get to try this fruit. People get online to the website, learn more, and become a part of this. It's very exciting. I commend you guys. I think what you're taking is a big undertaking, but boy, you guys you're cocked and primed. It's a typical SEC football guy. I get it right here. You guys are just barreling through. I get it. I see how it works. I love it. No, really though, kudos to you guys. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Go ahead.
I said, we're excited.
So what's next? Give me something. Give me a tidbit. What are we looking forward to? So we know people are going to have to step up. If you don't, if you don't swing at the first pitch, you ain't going to get a second pitch to swing at with these things, right? We know demand's strong. The flavor's there. The geographical location's there. You got strong people behind supporting you. You've got all kinds of infrastructure support that's going to get you to the finish line in a big way. So tell me a little bit more about what's next for you guys coming up for this season and maybe even for next year.
Yeah. So, I think this season is just really exciting for us because we're launching the brand. So if people want to get involved, definitely reach out ASAP. We just launched our website, so you can check us out there at sweetvalleycitrus.com. Also on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. So, folks, give us a follow, and we'll be posting there, keeping people up to date on the season and sharing more information about cold hardy citrus and how people can use it. And I think long term, what's next is, every intention to keep growing this brand. But I think Matt touched on this earlier. The acreage that we have in production right now is nothing in comparison to the acreage that has been planted. Matt, could you share what you have planted versus what's in production?
Yeah, we've got about 15,000 trees planted, and probably only 40% of those are in production. And one of the things that's next is our fruit right now compete with anything that's grown in the grocery store right now. And we're doing this off of 4, 5, 6-year-old trees. As the trees get to be 14, 15 years old, the quality is going to get better just because the tree's getting better, but also as growers, we're going to get better at perfecting our craft. So we feel confident in the future that, our trajectory is going to continue to go in the right direction.
Yeah. So I think the thing is that, our supply will increase. Hopefully also as our brand is growing and our demand increases. And we've talked a lot about the Satsuma Mandarin today. But like I said earlier, one of the big reasons that we decided to develop and launch a regional brand is because we knew that we were going to be growing a lot of different varieties of fruit outside of just Satsumas. I think one day Sweet Valley Citrus will just be synonymous for like really, really good mandarins and citrus in general. Some other mandarins that have been planted and will be coming into productions are like Tango tangerines, Shiranui mandarins. We'll have grapefruit, navel oranges, red navels, even some lemons. And so, I think we'll just continue to grow. That's what's next.
Todd, I love it. The Shiranui mandarin is the same thing as the sumo
orange.
Right.
And last year we picked our Shiranuis on like November 15th, which is 5 to 6 weeks ahead of what they're picking them out in California. So all the growers in this area have big expectations for us growing Shiranuis and beating the sumos to market.
I love it. Well, you said something, Matt, I want to come back and touch on. You talked about trees at 14 and 15 years, and it goes back to what I said in the very beginning. When you think about this appellation with Tuscany and Napa and the Rhone Valley, right? You got 100-year-old vines producing amazing grape. You all are the same thing. And the second thing I want to say is that, if we were in Vegas right now, not only would I put my money on Alabama Roll Tide to win the national championship, but I would also put my money on your long game and where this is going to end up in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years, because I think you have a powerhouse brand doing the right thing for the right reasons. And that is a very, very powerful combination when it comes to building a brand. And I commend you guys for what you're doing. I'm excited to watch your trajectory. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to, one of you guys are sending me citrus when you start picking, by the way. I haven't told you yet, but you're going to. I'm excited to see. Thank you. I'm excited. I really am. I'm really excited for you guys and what you're doing. I think this is something people need to lean into. And if you're smart, Mr. or Mrs. Retailer out there, if you're smart, y'all better get in line and start buttering these guys up, because you're going to want their fruit. And so does everybody else. So, that's my advice to everybody there. I think it's great. I'm really proud of you guys.
Thanks so much, Todd.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for hanging out with me, by the way. I really do appreciate it. I really do. I think this is super exciting. I think this is going to be a really neat thing for people to see, open up a lot of eyes. And I think, as I said, Mr. and Mr. Retailer, y'all going to have to figure it out and get yourself going. It's been fun to hang out with you guys. I really appreciate it. Come back. I want an update. Let's do it again.
Our first podcast. So
yeah, this is our first podcast. But again.
Well, then I'm going to have to send you. I'll have to send you the first podcast gift. I don't have one, but I'll make one up for you. I'll send you something. I was totally lying right there. I have nothing. But we'll come up with something. We got to have something for you. It's surprising how many people that when they come on here, it's like, that's the first time I've ever done that. So hopefully I didn't taint it for you. Hopefully, I didn't ruin it.
Much less painful than we thought.
Oh, thank God. That makes me feel good. But I do appreciate you guys being here. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us. Check it out, sweetvalleycitrus.com. Get going. Check this thing out. I'm telling you, if you don't step up, you're going to be looking at that going, damn, I had a chance and I missed it. Right? Don't be like that. Go for it. Let's change food and farming by embracing some of these amazing opportunities for presenting themselves out there. Appreciate you both being here. I appreciate what you guys are doing. Check them out on social media. They know that's where the cool kids hang out. Check us out on social media, because we know that's where the cool kids hang out. And we'll see you in our next episode, our next broadcast. We appreciate you. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff they tell me to say when I end these shows. And remember, go inspire somebody today. It's really important. Just a simple hello can make a big difference. And my final words for you too, one more time, roll Tide.
Go Dogs.
Go Gators. God damn, I knew I was going to get outvoted. All right, you all have a good afternoon. Take care of everybody. See you.